the enemy isn't each other. The opponents aren't LDF and UDF. But the real enemy, I'm not talking about an opponent, but the real enemy for Kerala and through Kerala, the whole of India, is the Bharatiya Janata Party and the RSS. The Prime Minister has already started coming and instilling the poison of hate in Kerala. He's doing the same thing in West Bengal. His Home Minister also follows him faithfully and does the same thing, instills poison, poisons the minds and hearts of our citizens. We must fight this poison.
ഇന്ത്യയിലെ തന്നെ എല്ലാവർക്കും പ്രിയപ്പെട്ടവനായ തുഷാർ ഗാന്ധി ഇവിടെ എത്തുന്നത്. തുഷാർ ഗാന്ധിയുടെ ചരിത്രവും ജീവിതവും ഒന്നും ഞാൻ പറയുന്നില്ല. മഹാത്മാഗാന്ധിയുടെ ഗ്രേറ്റ് ഗ്രാൻഡ് സനാണ് അദ്ദേഹം, പ്രഭപുത്രൻ. തുഷാർ ഗാന്ധി എല്ലാ പ്രകാരത്തിലും നന്മ നിറഞ്ഞ ഉദാത്ത ഗംഭീരനായൊരു മനുഷ്യനാണ്. ഗാന്ധിജിയുടെ മഹത്തായ പാരമ്പര്യങ്ങളെല്ലാം ചേർത്ത് പിടിക്കുന്ന ഈ പിന്മുറക്കാരൻ ഇന്ത്യയിലെ മതനിരപേക്ഷതയുടെ ഏറ്റവും മുറിറ്റ പോരാളിയാണ്. ഇടതുപക്ഷമടക്കമുള്ള എല്ലാ ജനകീയ പ്രസ്ഥാനങ്ങളുടെയും ഉറ്റബന്ധുവാണ്. വ്യക്തിപരമായി തുഷാർജിയുമായി സഹോദരനെ പോലെ സ്നേഹമുള്ളതുകൊണ്ട് ഒന്ന് ഫോൺ ചെയ്തപ്പോൾ അദ്ദേഹം മറ്റെല്ലാം മാറ്റിവെച്ചുകൊണ്ട് ഇവിടെ എം.എൻ. സ്മാരകത്തിൻ്റെ ഈ പുൽത്തകടിയിലേക്ക് എത്താൻ തയ്യാറായി. കമ്മ്യൂണിസ്റ്റ് പാർട്ടിയോട്, എം.എൻ. സ്മാരകത്തോട്, നമ്മളൊന്ന് എന്ന ഈ സാംസ്കാരിക സംരംഭത്തോട്, കൂട്ടായ്മയോട് തുഷാർജി കാണിക്കുന്ന സ്നേഹവായ്പിന് നന്ദി പറയാൻ എനിക്ക് വാക്കുകളില്ല. വേറൊന്നും ഞാൻ ദീർഘമായി പറയുന്നില്ല. തുഷാർജി സംസാരിക്കും ചെറുതായിട്ട്.
It was wonderful to be able to come and talk to you in this beautiful setting right in the middle of the capital city, in such a lovely setting. It's really wonderful. It is very difficult for somebody who is not in electoral politics to speak to a party that is part of the electoral politics scenario of our democracy. But I think the time has come when we have to all come together and fight the battle of ideology, not just the battle of power politics, but the battle of ideology. Because today, unfortunately, what we see in India is that ideology is being compromised in the face of the lure of power. Ideology is being compromised. And so I think we must, when like-minded people are sitting, we must talk about that. Although Bapu was quite critical about the communists, not about communism, but communists. He was quite critical about the communists, and he made a difference between the two. He differentiated between the ideal of communism, but he was critical of the practice of the communist, just as he used to be very appreciative of the ideal of Christianity, but very critical about Christians and their behavior. It was the same about communism and the communists. But if you look at how he formulated his ideology, his belief in trusteeship, his belief in community living, and his belief in the commonwealth of the people, of society. There are a lot of parallels between what Marx talked about and what Bapu talked about, and what Bapu practiced. What was more important was not what he talked about, but what he practiced in his life, what he how he ran his ashrams, how the ashrams were formulated. The basis of the entire ashram exercise was one of community living, of community sharing, and the equality of the community. The three principles that even Marx, in his own language, spoke about. And so I think the time has come when, despite his criticism, we see the parallel common factors and come together on that. You might be wondering why I have come to a political party office and I'm talking about differentiating between electoral politics and the politics of ideology. The reason that we have to talk about it today because it has become very popular belief, and especially amongst parties that are engaged in electoral politics, that electoral politics cannot survive with ideology. But here, I believe that I am speaking to people who are more committed to ideology than to the attraction of power. The CPI believe, is still wedded to its ideology much more than compromising the ideology for power. And it's not because I'm sitting in the CPI office that I say this. I say it out of conviction because I have seen how, on the question of ideology, the CPI has given up on seeking power also. And so I believe that that is something that India needs on a larger scale today. For the last few times when I have been coming to Kerala, I have always made a public appeal to both the LDF and the UDF that in the forthcoming elections, the enemy isn't each other. The opponents aren't LDF and UDF, but the real enemy, I'm not talking about an opponent, but the real enemy for Kerala and through Kerala, the whole of India, is the Bharatiya Janata Party and the RSS. And Kerala has to make an example by exterminating the BJP. When I say exterminating, I don't mean the meaning of the word that Hitler used in his ideology. I believe the democratic term of exterminating, politically exterminating the opponent. Because I've said this before in Trivandrum, and I say it again today, that BJP and the RSS ideology is like a cancer, and like a terminal cancer. And once it afflicts a society, it sees the demise of that society. And India today faces that threat. And so I keep appealing to both the LDF and UDF that you may fight each other later, but at this moment the time has come when the two have to formulate a joint strategy against the real enemy, the BJP, and stop it in its tracks. It has made too many inroads into Kerala. They may not have performed spectacularly in the election so far, but we must remember they are like a patient predator. They infinitely wait for the prey to completely compromise all its possibilities of escape, and then they pounce. And at the moment, Kerala is the prey, and they are continuously weakening the resolve of the people of Kerala. And the small gains that they are making are accumulating. In every election, we see that the gains that they are making are accumulating. One fine day, we will all wake up like we have woken up in the rest of the country. For too long, people like me kept believing that they were the lunatic fringe, but they were the fringe, and one day they will be dealt with and they will fade away. We never realized that instead of them fading away, we were pushed to the fringe, and we have come to a stage where today people like me don't mean anything to the present day India. Let Kerala also not suffer the same fate. And so I will appeal to all of you that in the coming elections, please keep Kerala and India in your thoughts before thinking of your own electoral gains. Extend a hand to an enemy who is needed as an ally this time. We can keep fighting the battles later on, but at the present moment, we need to fight the common enemy. And I know that for the UDF and the LDF, the BJP and the Sangh are the real enemies. They may fight each other in Kerala, but they are fighting the Sangh and its political arm, the BJP, in the rest of the country. And Kerala needs to send out a message to the rest of the country, a message of hope to the rest of the country. Because next year, Bengal and Kerala, two very significant states on two sides of India, are going to battle, and the BJP is making it their prestige issue. The Prime Minister has already started coming and instilling the poison of hate in Kerala. He's doing the same thing in West Bengal. His Home Minister also follows him faithfully and does the same thing, instills poison, poisons the minds and hearts of our citizens. We must fight this poison. And the only way to fight this poison is to crush the head of the snake that is spewing this violence, the hatred, the poison, the venom. I say it with full responsibility. I know that we believe in battling thought with thought, but sometimes we need strong medicine. And I believe that time has come now when we must all be very prepared. You know, when a patient suffers from third stage cancer, radical surgery needs to be performed. When radiation is administered, the radiation damages other organs, other parameters of the patient's health. But it is the only way to get rid of the cancer. And so we have to accept that the cancer that RSS and BJP are will have to be dealt by paying a price. Maybe for the present, everyone may have to compromise on their ambitions. But the question that needs to be answered is, are personal ambitions important, or are the hopes of the people important? That question needs to be answered. That is the way of Gandhi. That even if for the common good, the personal benefit has to be sacrificed, that sacrifice is required to be made. And this is what my message to all of you is. In the long run, whether it is the ideal of trusteeship that Bapu subscribed to, or commonwealth of the society without ownership that Marx talked about, the objective is the same: to empower the have-nots, to empower the people who cannot or are deprived by the established system of dignity. To give them that dignity, we will either have to embrace the concept of general trusteeship or the concept of equal distribution of wealth to all our people. Those are indispensable. How it is done is a different manner, whether we educate people to voluntarily accept that, or we have to forcefully enforce that idea is a different matter, different topic to discuss. But we have to achieve that level in our society where people will understand how the concentration of wealth is unjustified and how the concentration of wealth amongst few never benefits the majority. But this will require a lot of education. The eminent danger is whether we will have a nation that subscribes to this ideology in the next few years, or whether we will become aliens in our own land. The battle is to retain our possession of this land of ours. It is in danger of being snatched away from us. We have lost major parts of it. And I'm not talking about territory, I'm talking about the minds of the people. We have lost a lot of the intellectual mind space, which we see reflected in our society. We have to battle hate, we have to battle separatism, and we have to battle lies. And the only way to do it is through truth, equality, inclusiveness, and love. Without that, this battle can never be won. And that is why I appeal to all of you that in the political process that this state is going to go through in a short while, in a short period, please rise above party politics and act to save Kerala and the ideology that Kerala represents, the ideology of equality, freedom of thought, and freedom of practice. They are the ideals that India today desperately requires. Thank you very much.